I'm very, very, very excited to have Emily Nagoski here, PhD and author of this month's book. Thank you so much for joining us. We read your book this month, Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle, which we loved, of course. And we have so many questions for you. All of our members wrote in with questions, but before I go ahead, I will read a very short bio and then I will hand it over to you to tell me what I'm missing because we're always missing something. So Emily Nagoski is a sex educator and researcher and co-author with her twin sister Amelia of the New York Times bestseller Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle and the Burnout book workbook. She's also the author of Come As You Are, which we will definitely have to discuss. The surprising new science that will transform your sex life and come together. Oh, sorry, rather, and come together the science and art of creating lasting sexual connections. She spends much of her time traveling the world training therapists, medical professionals, and educators on the science of sexual well-being. Emily and Amelia also co-host the podcast, The Feminist Survival Project, and you live in New England. So what am I missing in that very brief summary?
I mean, those are the big ones.
How did you come to write the book?
So, Come As You Are is my first book.
Yes.
And I put a lot of effort into the science in that book. The science of women's sexual well-being was sort of where I got started. And I was traveling all across America talking to anyone who would listen about the science of sexuality. And over again, women would come up to me at the end of events and say, yeah, yeah, all that sex science is great. Thanks so much for that. But you know, the chapter that changed everything was that one chapter about stress and emotion processing. And I was like, oh, great. I'm glad that was helpful. But I was like, what about the sex part, though? And I said this to Amelia, my identical twin, who said, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Remember when you taught me that stuff? And
Mhm.
it, saved my life, Amelia said. Twice, they said. And they were talking about uh, when Amelia was in grad school, non-binary, agender, she, they pronouns. So if I switched up she and they, that's what's going on with that.
Okay, got it.
In grad school, Amelia has a doctor of musical arts in choral conducting. Classical music is as misogynist as any STEM field. Amelia was so stressed by that experience while also working three different part-time jobs and raising three teenage stepchildren
Oh, wow.
that she was so sick that she was lying on the bathroom floor in the kind of pain that made her think she was going to die.
Oh, gosh.
She was admitted to the hospital with a white cell blood count that was through the roof, but the doctors couldn't find anything else wrong. So after 3 days in the hospital with no diagnosis, they told her that it was just stress and she should go home and just relax. And I was at the time the director of wellness education at Smith College, which is women's liberal arts college in Western Massachusetts. And these are high achieving, driven, perfectionistic kind of students. So I talked to them a lot about how to manage stress. So I went to Amelia's house and I took a pile of peer reviewed research about what stress is and how it works in your body and what to do about it. Specifically, completing the stress response cycle, which is a
Mhm.
different thing than dealing with whatever the thing in your environment is that activated that stress in the first place.
Sure.
Um, and I mean, Amelia would call me on the phone sobbing and be like, this book you got me said that feelings are real and they happen in your body. Is that true?
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, how could you not have known that? You practice Tai Chi and yoga and, embody the emotional intention of a composer to communicate it to your choir so your choir can communicate it to an audience. How could you not have known that? And turns out Amelia really didn't know that. So it really did save their life. It didn't come soon enough. She ended up being hospitalized again. This time, the stress had been so big it crushed an organ and she had her appendix removed.
Oh,
And
geez.
I thought Amelia's story is that so Amelia's like, no shit, Sherlock. And I was like, well, yeah, so we should write a book about that. And we did. And the very first live event that we did promoting the book, we were in the UK because it was published in the UK first. The very first event we did, I, thinking Amelia's story was the most extreme story
Mm.
anybody was ever going to hear, a woman came up to us and said she had been released from the hospital that day
Oh, wow.
for just stress.
Yeah.
Her doctors told her to just relax. So it turns out there's a whole community of people out there whose bodies have been screaming at them to process their stress,
Yeah.
and they haven't known what that means or what to do.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I very much feel like your book is what we needed to read. And I feel like
Good.
books find you when you need to find them, right?
Yeah,
So you and Emily are identical twins, as you said, and who you both ended up with graduate degrees in how to listen and feel feelings, as
that's
you
right.
put it. What
Yeah,
was,
because Amelia, master's degree in choral conducting,
right?
and me in counseling
Right.
psychology. And it was as we were finishing those degrees, we were like, well, I guess our master's degrees indicate what was missing from our family of origin.
Right, right, absolutely. So my question is, what was that like growing up?
Yeah. So one of the questions we got asked most often in the first year after Burnout came out, the bottom line, if you remember only one thing from the book, it's that the cure for burnout is not self-care. It is all of us caring for each other.
Right.
It's chapter 6, the bubble of love. It
Yeah.
is all of us showing up for each other. And so the question we were asked most often is like, well, what if you don't have people like that in your life? People who can be in your bubble of love, who care about your well-being as much as you care about theirs.
Sure.
And at first we answer sort of flippantly, like, get better people in your life.
Yeah.
But then we thought about it and we were like, wait a minute, because we didn't know it at the time. But we're autistic. We were diagnosed in 2021, that sort of post-pandemic wave of people who responded to lockdown differently from everybody else and who were like, I think there might be something like diagnosably different about my brain. So
Mhm.
one, we were autistic, and two, we were raised in an alcoholic family of origin where the rule was you did not talk about the feelings. You don't talk about Bruno in our house.
Yeah.
And so we spent the first 35 years of our lives not talking about what it was like to grow up in that house, what it was like to be an identical twin, what it was like to live our lives in parallel but never turning toward each other.
Right.
And this research we were reading, we were going to write this book about stress. And the deeper we got into the science, I mean, like, we went really deep and hard into the science. And the further we got into the science, the more the answer kept being love.
Mm.
It kept being trust, openness, care, support. And we were like, oh no, we're going to have to do the thing in order to write this book. So we went through a process of like we would sit at opposite ends of this long couch in my living room and stare at the wall, not look at each other, and tell stories that we remembered from when we were little kids.
And you
And I
wouldn't,
would tell
why wouldn't you look at each other?
one, we're autistic.
Too much?
Two, every experience in our life told us we weren't allowed to.
Oh,
And it was so vulnerable and so
right.
emotionally intense
Yeah.
that that just added, like, we can look at each other now
Mm.
that we've like broken down the worst of the wall that was built between us. But at the time, like, it was so raw for me to be like, I remember this particularly traumatic thing that happened,
Yeah.
and you slept through it all, I said. And Amelia, staring at the wall, goes, I remember that night.
Oh no.
And 35 years after it happened, I learned that I hadn't been alone that night.
Yeah, yeah, amazing.
Yeah. And it like healed something inside me and inside Amelia and between us. So
Mm.
our flippant answer was find better people, but the reality is we didn't find better people. We found our way back to each other.
Yeah.
And if we, given our neurotype and our family of origin, can do that, literally anyone
Well, it feels very courageous, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it takes
Yeah.
courage. It takes wanting to. For us, it took reading 3 decades of affective neuroscience
Mm,
telling us that this was the way to do the thing we were writing about in our book. And it wasn't easy. A lot of it was not real fun.
right.
But now, I mean, when people hear, "Oh, you're identical twins," they have an idea of what that is.
Sure.
Until 2017, we turned 40 that year. Until then, we didn't have it.
Right.
But now we do, and we made it out of what we learned in the process of writing Burnout.
Wow, what an adventure and an experience for you.
Yeah, and like I love that the book is helping people,
Yeah, absolutely.
and I get like wonderful stories of ways it has changed people's lives and changed their relationships. But honestly, if not one person had ever read it,
Yeah.
it would have been worth the experience of writing it because I I get my twin now.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. So much more profound hearing from the author and hearing how like your experience of writing it.
Yeah, writing books is really hard, it turns out.
Yeah, I've heard that from a few authors.
Yeah.
So what's one small thing that's helping you complete your own stress cycle these days?
Oh, what I love about completing the stress response cycle is that there are so many evidence-based ways to do it. Um, an important change that has happened for me is that after I got COVID the first time, I got long COVID. So I
Oh,
became physically disabled, and I am a natural exerciser. It was my number one way to complete the stress response cycle. When I worked at Smith, I had a 4 mile bike commute
mm,
when the weather was okay, and riding that 4 miles home, I felt my body transition. I would just leave all the stress of my job behind.
mhm,
And once I crossed past the water tower in my town, I was like, I'm almost home, and my body was in a totally different state. I can't exercise anymore.
right.
So I resonate even more. Amelia has never been a natural exerciser, so this is just what it's always been like for them. But for me, thankfully, we wrote the book, and I know how many other experiences there are,
Mhm.
ways of completing the stress response cycle. I've been learning to play the ukulele.
Ah, cool.
Creative self expression is
Yeah.
one of the key things. And as long as I never make it my job and I'm just doing it because it's the place where I can put all the feelings that build up in my body,
Mhm.
then it's going to stay an effective strategy. One of the problems is that very early on, when people have a talent around creative stuff in particular, writing stuff or building stuff, they turn it into a job. And
Yeah,
once it becomes your job, it is no longer a way to complete the stress response
sure,
cycle.
sure. And I
People
think
who are professional athletes, exercise is not the way for them.
absolutely. I think this is a great segue. There was a question came in from Kendra, and she said that you described completing the stress cycle as different from just managing stress. Can you explain that distinction?
Well, we describe it as different from managing stressors.
Mm,
And managing stress, like when I hear that phrase, what I imagine is like a cup that is filled right to the brim. And managing stress is making it so that like it doesn't spill over.
sure.
Completing the stress response cycle is draining the
Mm,
cup so that
it's
like you can
helpful.
start fresh the next day,
Yeah.
refilling it with a cup full of stress, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
But the really important distinction is between dealing with the stress in your body versus dealing with whatever it is that activated that stress. Because it turns out we live in a world where the stress in our body is much more likely to be a factor in what kills us than the thing that caused the stress. Like we're not stressed out by saber-toothed tigers anymore. We're
Right.
stressed out by cis heteropatriarchal,
Yeah.
rapidly exploitative, late capitalistic white supremacy,
Right.
which like isn't gonna actually literally chomp a limb off.
Right, right, right.
It only feels that way.
Sure. Um, so the book opens with Amelia's experience of burnout, including how it affected their health. What was it like writing about something that personal for someone you're so close to?
So, because it wasn't my story,
Mm,
and because I was sure at the time that Amelia's story was going to be the most extreme story that anybody heard, I felt okay telling it. And
mhm.
Amelia is clinically bad at knowing how they feel. She has alexithymia, which is literally the diagnosis for someone who is not good at recognizing their internal state. Like if Amelia's walking around with a stone in their shoe,
Hmm.
they'll be really grumpy, they'll be really uncomfortable, and they will not be able to identify why until they just like stay really still and they scan like what is going wrong, and they're like, my foot's uncomfortable, and they take off a shoe and there's a stone in my shoe. Oh, so in the process of writing, Amelia had no idea what it was like to tell that story. And it's taken all of these years since then. It's been like 8 years now to like process through what it was like to write it. And like I said, creative self-expression is one of the ways that we complete the stress response cycle. Writing the book was really powerful in helping Amelia process a lot of the residual stuff still left over from the doctorate experience.
All right. Um, as the researcher of the two of you, how did you approach translating the science of stress into tools that people can actually use day to day?
You know what? Amelia ended up being the one who really needed the science. We decided we were going to write the book for 21-year-old Amelia.
Okay.
So, a junior in college, already for sure, super burnt out, overwhelmed, exhausted, still feeling like they're not doing enough, but totally convinced that feelings are literally fake
Hmm.
because they're not aware. They have alexithymia. Autistic with alexithymia don't know what's happening from the neck down.
Right.
Uh, and so, what Amelia at 21 needed was evidence. Give me
Mhm.
the science of it.
Sure.
So I wrote the science in a way that 21-year-old Amelia, very smart, but a music education major,
Hmm.
would be able to understand and be persuaded by that
Okay.
this actual this mechanism is actually happening in your body and there's something you can do about it and it's gonna save your life.
Hmm. Amazing. I often hear authors say that they write the book they needed for they wanted to read for their younger self,
It's
whether it's
absolutely the
fiction
book.
or nonfiction. So
Yeah.
this seems to really hit home for that.
And as a college health educator,
Mm,
I was writing for a college student.
sure. Uh, so human giver syndrome, I'd like to explore that a little bit more. It's a major concept in the book, but how does that show up for people who feel pressure to constantly give to others?
Oh boy. Yeah. So the deal with human giver syndrome is that it's a moral obligation to be pretty, happy, calm, generous, and unfailingly attentive to the needs of others. And the deal with a moral obligation is if you fall short, it's not just that you fell short or made a mistake, it's that you failed. It's
Right.
that you are a moral failure. And as a moral failure, you deserve to be punished. And if there's no one around to punish you, you'll just go ahead and beat the crap out of yourself.
Right.
And because we're raised in this from very often before we're even born, we believe it.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to help us recognize that we don't have a moral obligation to be physically attractive to anyone,
Hmm.
right? We don't actually have a moral obligation to be thin. We don't have a moral obligation to be agreeable
Hmm.
and calm and never get angry or inconvenience anyone with something as tedious as our grief.
Right.
It takes so much like excavation of everything you've been taught from the very first day of your life to be like, oh, wait, especially if you're married to somebody who was not raised with that same narrative in their
Hmm.
head,
Hmm.
because that person was raised to believe that you have that obligation also.
Right.
So if you're in that relationship, you got to convince not just yourself, but also that other person
Sure.
that you don't owe it to them
Hmm.
to be perpetually fine.
Yeah, it's a good point.
It's the hardest. I mean, it's hard enough doing it for our own sanity.
Right.
but doing it so that our partner will show up for us. Because again, the moral of the story is the cure for burnout is not self-care, it's all of us helping each other.
Sure,
If
yeah.
you're in like a household sharing relationship and the other person does not believe that they have as much of an obligation as you do to show up and care for that household and the people who live in it, oh boy.
Yeah.
Which that's there's a whole additional chapter in Come Together, my book about sex and long-term relationships. Like the whole book assumes that couples could be in any structure of relationship, any combination of genders, but there's one chapter that's just for the straights
Hmm.
because I'm real worried about the straights, and they, based on the evidence of the last 30 years, have worse sex lives. Worse? They have worse sex lives, but they have more frequent sex.
Mm.
So they're having more worse
Yeah,
sex.
more terrible sex.
I'm worried about the straight people. So they get their own chapter in Come Together. So people are like, how do I apply this in my relationship? Chapter 11 of Come Together.
Okay. Okay, well that's helpful. Thank you. Um, I would like to know a little bit more about the collaboration process. What was it like writing a book this personal with your sister? And you talked about it a little bit with the couch and
Yeah, it was very, so the actual writing
yeah.
was, we were pretty structured about it. We
Okay.
would alternate. So I did the first draft of chapter one, Amelia did the first draft of chapter two, I did the first draft of chapter three, and so on. And then we would pass the chapters to each other one
Mhm.
at a time, and we would each write a second draft of that
Okay.
person's chapter. And we learned that Amelia writes better second drafts.
Oh,
I
interesting.
write better first drafts,
Okay.
which is a useful thing to know when you're writing a book. I also have the strength of the science, and Amelia brought the strength of the social critique and analysis.
Okay.
So each of us brought a different perspective. Even though we're identical twins, raised in the same household, we have different strengths and different priorities, and brought different capability to the process. And I mean, the book would not be the same without both of us bringing what we brought.
And would
And isn't it nice to have a collaborator where you're like, I appreciate that you are awesome at this thing, and we both agree that I'm the one who's awesome at this other thing.
I'm glad to hear that it went well because I feel like it could have gone like not with you specifically, but like I can't
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
writing a book with my brother.
Yeah. I've tried collaborating on work things, creative work projects with my spouse, who is a cartoonist. He's a
Okay.
professional creative person, and it doesn't go great
Right, right, right.
because we have really different. I'm autistic and he's ADD, and our work styles are so opposite that
Right.
it like, so it's not that I can work this way with everyone. It's that I can work this way with Amelia.
So would you write another book together?
What do you think about the idea of a fairly short book on the subject of beauty labor?
I don't know what that means too, if I'm honest.
The time and energy. Okay, so back in the 80s,
Yes.
a writer wrote a book called The Third Shift.
Okay.
The second shift. So the first shift is your paycheck jobby job.
Yeah.
The second shift is the domestic labor.
Yeah.
And when we were reading the research on sleep, we discovered the sleep researchers have been using this phrase, the third shift, to
Okay.
talk about the labor that women do at night. If they got kids and a husband, there's only one person in that house who is reliably expected to be awake and doing the caretaking, sacrificing her sleep in the middle of the night, the third shift.
Okay.
So the fourth shift in my mind is the time, energy, attention, and money we invest in making ourselves as close to pretty enough as we can be.
Hmm.
And it's something that somebody like me who like I have a PhD, like I have an official certificate in smart enough, right?
Yeah.
I have every single one of my books has been a New York Times bestseller. I am successful enough, right?
Mhm.
You'd think I'd feel like that's enough. And even I still have to invest thought and energy and time and money in like making sure I look pretty enough to be taken seriously when
Mm.
I stand in front of a diverse audience and want them to believe the words coming out of my mouth. And if I'm not pretty enough, they won't.
Right.
There's a YouTuber who has a PhD in pharmaceutical chemistry, and she makes great videos about sunscreen. And she has gotten comments on her videos saying that, oh, I just can't watch you because you don't wear eye. She full beat, but not eyelashes.
Okay.
I can't watch your videos because you don't wear lashes.
What?
Like how?
Yeah.
So and we're not supposed to talk about it. We're
Yeah.
not supposed to say, here's how much time, money, effort, attention I invest in trying to make my body behave,
Mhm.
trying to make my hair do what my hair is supposed to do, and all the time I spend reading articles and listening to podcasts and watching videos about makeup and skincare and hair products and God, weight loss. Oh God, weight loss.
Yeah.
The fourth shift is the idea.
So is this a book you're thinking about or a book you're writing?
I'm retired. I don't want to write. Writing a book is so hard. But like I can't stop thinking about.
Okay.
And especially so Amelia and I as identical twins, again, never the and people can't tell us apart when they meet us in person.
Oh, really?
And yet, and we both have doctoral degrees. Like we are both as successful as people get in fields
Yes.
like ours, pretty much. But I have always been the smart one, and Amelia's always been the pretty one.
Okay.
Even though
You
we're
can't.
literally
Yeah.
identical,
Yeah. You can't
but
tell.
we have these stories that follow us.
Mm.
So that's
Well, it sounds very
maybe
interesting. Even if you don't want to write it, we'd like to read it.
I couldn't write that book without Amelia
Sure.
because they have such an important point of view on it. So maybe.
All right. Um, the next question I have is about community, which is obviously very important to us. That's what we're building. So you talk about community and connection as essential to recovering from burnout, not optional extras. How does that idea show up in your own life?
I mean, there's the like crying on the couch, telling stories about our childhood.
Hmm.
There's so when I got long COVID and became disabled, my energy is really limited, which is why I can't exercise.
Hmm.
But also, like we had to be really strategic. My husband and I had to be strategic about where my energy goes because I'm like the primary breadwinner in the family.
Hmm.
So I need to put my energy in the place where it's going to have the biggest impact, which means offloading the stuff that somebody else can do
Sure.
to him. So why does he respond to my email? Because I'm reserving my energy for the work he absolutely cannot do. And
Right.
he can. He's really good at it,
Yeah, yeah.
in my opinion. So that's just one example of the, and like, I mean, just so much of the way we have divided up like householding and professional labor is based on like, where does I have a limited amount of energy. I have, spoon theory. I only have so many
Yeah.
spoons that I can allocate in a given day. I have to make sure I have enough spoons to like do the bare minimum.
Hmm.
And after that can come the extra. And Richard just has a whole bunch more spoons than I do. And so he can do things that cost more energy than I can.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah, no, it makes sense.
And like Amelia is sick today. And so
Yeah.
here I am.
Yeah. Well, we're happy to have you.
I'm genuinely delighted to be here.
Since the book came out, you've published the Burnout Workbook. What made you want
Yeah.
to create a hands-on companion for the book?
I'm going to be fully honest. Amelia wrote the workbook.
Okay.
I read it and I was like, this is really great. And they said, yeah, this is all the shit you taught me.
Amazing. Well, it's helpful.
Yeah, and Amelia's undergrad degree is in music education. They're
Mhm.
trained in pedagogy, so they wrote a great workbook. It's spectacular and narrated the audiobook and put the music in the audiobook because if you're a professional musician and you're recording an audiobook,
You have to have
why
it.
not put in original music?
Absolutely. It's amazing.
Uh, so the point of the workbook is, I mean, it's a book for people who feel overwhelmed and exhausted by everything they have to do and still feel like they're not doing enough.
Right.
Sometimes you don't have the energy to read 85,000 pages of like affective neuroscience and stories and stuff. You just like, just tell me what to do.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
tell me
no,
what to do. And the
absolutely.
workbook is the like, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And if you don't have time or like can't fuck, you got the brain fog of perimenopause, oh my God, uh, the audiobook will tell you what to do and you don't have to read.
Oh, amazing. That's a great information for us for sure.
Audiobooks for me are an accessibility issue. Like it is important for me that there is an audiobook version of just about everything I do.
Yeah, we're really into audiobooks as well.
Me too.
Um, what's one thing you hope? We only have a couple more questions for you, but what's one thing you hope people stop believing about rest and having it all together?
Oh gosh.
Or maybe that's a long question.
Yeah, one thing I hope that so people hate it when I say this. You truly do need 7 to 9. And it's not that like you need somewhere between 7 to 9 hours. It's that people vary from each other. And also your sleep need is going to change over the course of your lifespan.
Right.
Amelia and I build our wellness habits around, we build our whole lives around our sleep needs. Sleep comes first. It is the keystone. When I heard Kamala Harris say that she will sacrifice sleep and get up early to exercise, like I get that people vary, and I know that's probably like her body just craves the exercise. I've been there, but I was like, girl, you need the rest.
Yeah, you do.
Girl, sleep. So for most people, if they say, which should I do? Should I get up early and exercise, or should I sleep and not exercise? For almost everyone, my answer is absolutely the sleep
Hmm.
is
Absolutely.
more important than exercise. It is more important than being really super great about nutrition. Sleep is a better predictor of diabetes than anything nutritional,
Mm,
than anything about body weight. Sleep is the one.
absolutely.
And if you, oh my God, like I have a whole hour long lecture that I do about sleep, but like there's truly so much less point in doing anything that you do in a given day if you don't then get adequate rest. Because if you study and then don't get sleep, it's in the sleep
Hasn't,
at night
yeah,
that your brain processes and
hasn't even
remembers it all. It's
processed
in,
it.
if you exercise, it's during sleep that your muscles and bones heal and get stronger so that you can exercise harder tomorrow. If
Yeah,
you don't get adequate rest, that's when you get injured.
yeah, yeah.
If you don't get adequate sleep when you ate really healthy, your body's not going to have the opportunity to like absorb all those nutrients and integrate it into each of your cells.
It's so funny because
Sleep is the key.
you go onto Instagram and there's like so everybody's trying to sell you something these days, and I feel like with this, it's like the best kept secret how important sleep is.
If you're on social media and you're not following the nap bishop,
Hmm. The nap
Trisha,
bishop.
the
Okay.
nap bishop, the nap ministry founded by Trisha Hersey
Okay.
is the most important feed in social media.
Ah,
Um,
interesting.
I saw her present in 2016. I had already written the first draft of the sleep chapter, and I was like, I gotta start from scratch because I have not been doing this right. Her work changed me and changed my work.
Oh wow. Okay. Amazing. I will look her up for sure.
Yeah, she's super good.
Now, since we have you, Emily, I would love to know more about your other book, um, and why we should pick that book up and what it's all about, because it's also another very interesting area of
And
expertise.
Come As You Are in particular is sort of like the place where burnout comes from.
Sure.
So there you have two that you can pick from. Come As You Are, they're about the same length, so and about the same amount of sciencey. Come As You Are is the science of women's sexual well-being.
Hmm.
It's secretly about a lot more than that, but it's for people who were like, I want to know, I want to understand me and
Hmm.
what's going on with this. Come Together, as the title implies. And so the title Come As You Are, I had to defend it to the publisher because he was like, Come As You Are isn't aspirational enough. And I was like, oh, sir, the idea that you could already be enough as you are is the single most aspirational thing. So Come As You Are is like, I want to know how this works as a sexual organism.
Hmm.
Come Together is about, I want to understand how sex works when you're collaborating with somebody else
Hmm.
in a unit. I want to know how to make it work over years and decades as our bodies change and as we each change, and how do we change together, and how do we communicate about those changes. And so those are the two big options. They both cover sort of like the big most important scientific idea, which is the dual control model, is the mechanism in your brain that's how it processes sexual information,
Mhm.
which is what controls whether or not we're interested in having any sex and whether or not we enjoy the sex we have.
Sure.
Uh, if there's only, so this is the third time I'm saying it, so hopefully people will remember. If you remember only one thing from burnout, it's the cure for self-care. The cure for burnout is not self-care, it's all of us caring for each other.
Yeah.
The moral of the story for Come Together in particular, but for both books, is if you do not like the sex you are having, it is not a dysfunction not to want that sex.
It is not a dysfunction to not want that sex.
It's not dysfunctional, crazy as it sounds.
Yeah.
People, there's like pills and stuff for women's low sexual desire. You know what doctors are not asking when they prescribe a pill for women's low sexual desire? Do you like the sex available to you in your relationship?
Right, right,
Because if the answer is no, you don't have a disease.
right. You don't have something that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, well, you have a relationship where you need to communicate clearly together about
Mhm.
what it is you like, what kind of sex is worth the time and energy that it takes to be cordoned off from all the other things you could be doing with your life. Because,
Right,
we have so many things we could spend our time doing. Why would we close the door on all those other things and just like roll around like puppies licking each other and stuff? Why would we do that?
right. And are you writing anything else on sexual well-being, or will you write anything else on sexual well-being?
I mean, I probably will, but
Okay.
the thing I'm actually currently working on, it's a collaboration with Amelia.
Okay.
I'm writing Orgasm the Musical.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I'm learning to play the ukulele,
Amazing.
and I'm going to sing songs about all the science that I've been teaching about for the last 30 years.
Oh, that's incredible. What an accessible way to
Yeah,
get it out
super
there.
fun. And people will show up to see a musical who would never touch a book that's about sexuality.
Absolutely. Wow, well, I look forward to that.
If anybody's in LA, in the Wednesday in the middle of September, I'm going to
Okay.
be at the Ripped Bodice,
Okay.
my first ever live performance of anything resembling a musical version of Come As You Are.
Oh, wow, amazing. I will let our LA chapter know. Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that's so cool. We are a book club, so are there any books in closing, any books that you recommend or love, or they do not even have to be business books. We read it all, so
Yeah. Well, I sort of don't read business books. I'm the
fair enough.
opposite of the
Fair
audience for a business book. But Trisha Hersey, who I mentioned as the Nat Bishop, has published several books,
Okay.
and all of them are spectacular. So Trisha Hersey, We Will Rest, and Rest is a Resistance, both wonderful. Everyone should have them, and both available as audiobooks.
Okay.
Also, for anyone who's experiencing chronic pain,
Okay.
because that's part of what Amelia was experiencing. There's really the advance in the science over the last 30 years has been truly explosive, and we understand how chronic pain works better than ever. And there's a wonderful book called The Way Out.
Okay. The way out.
Yeah, if you're experiencing pain, like suppose you had an injury like 3 months ago, and the injury seems to be healed, but you're still experiencing pain,
Hmm.
or if like your lower back just always hurts no matter what. If both your wrists simultaneously hurt, and especially if the pain comes and goes, depending on what you're doing, The Way Out is the book you need.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you for those recommendations. I'll make sure that they're printed below the video when we post.
Yay.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to Amelia and you for writing this great book, this wonderful book that we've all had such a great time discussing in our chapters
I'm
around
so glad.
North America. And we look forward to seeing the musical and anything else that is forthcoming from you.
Thank you so much. This was really fun.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good night.
We did good. Bye.
Bye, Emily.